always watching out for you. This is KOAA News 5 at 10.
Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Eric Ross. Developing right now, federal prosecutors in New York will subpoena President Donald Trump's inaugural committee. The Manhattan U.S. Attorney's Office demanding the committee turn over documents related to donors, vendors, and finances. That includes anything related to the possibility of donations made before foreign nationals. According to the subpoena, prosecutors are investigating possible money laundering and conspiracy. In our Capitol Watch today, in a contentious hearing, Acting Attorney General Matthew Whitaker testified before the House Intelligence Committee. Of key interest to his oversight of the Mueller probe of Russian interference in the 2016 election, Whitaker said he has not interfered in any way, nor has he spoken with the president or White House staff about it. He declined to answer questions about whether the Mueller investigation is a witch hunt, a phrase that the president has used over and over again. Meantime, Attorney General nominee William Barr was confirmed by a Senate committee this week, and he's expected to be confirmed in the full Senate vote later next week. As Special Counsel Robert Mueller is preparing his final report in the Russia investigation, President Trump says he has not talked with Attorney General William Barr about releasing that report. NBC's Blaine Alexander has the latest from Washington.
The White House downplaying the upcoming report from Special Counsel Robert Mueller, who is believed to be wrapping up his Russia investigation.
There was no collusion, there was no obstruction, there was no anything. So that's the nice part. And everybody knows it's a hoax. It's one of the greatest hoaxes ever perpetrated on this country. So I look forward to seeing the report. If it's an honest report, it will say that.
President Trump expecting vindication while leaving it up to William Barr, his new attorney general, to decide whether to make the report public, something not required by law but could be demanded by Congress.
I just can't imagine a scenario where Congress, and to some extent a bipartisan way, doesn't demand virtually everything that Bob Mueller has to potentially share with them.
I would go right into a trade agreement.
Meanwhile, President Trump hoping to put an end to the trade standoff with China, the two superpowers working to strike a deal before March 2nd to end a dispute that has unsettled markets.
I would say that it's more likely that a deal will happen.
The president also sounding off on an effort by Democrats to block his emergency declaration to fund the border wall. The House set to vote Tuesday on that resolution.
Will I veto it? 100%. 100%, and I don't think it survives a veto.
Threatening to exercise his veto power for the first time in his presidency. Blaine Alexander, NBC News, Washington.
White House advisor Kellyanne Conway on CNN last night speaking out for the first time about how she was assaulted at a Maryland restaurant last year.
I was standing next to my daughter and many of her friends at dinner. I mean, she was right here, right next to me. And her friends were too. And somebody was grabbing me from behind, grabbed my arms, and was shaking me to the point where I thought maybe somebody was hugging me.
The suspect in the case, a 63-year-old woman who was charged in November with second-degree assault and disorderly conduct in the case. She is scheduled to go to trial next month. Today in Denver, the Denver Classroom Teachers Association has asked the state labor department to stay out of the teachers' strike, saying that no one but the union and the Denver School District can resolve this issue. The labor department now has 14 days to decide whether or not to intervene and stop the strike. In the meantime, the union says teachers have to report to work unless they are told otherwise. Well, most grandparents would do just about anything to help their grandkids out, and scammers, they are praying that you do just that. The scammers called Jerry Davis, and the imposter pretended to be her grandson. He even knew to call her Graham. He then said that he had been pulled over by police, arrested, and jailed. The scammer told her to go to Home Depot and purchase prepaid money cards and then call them back with the numbers on the back of the cards. She unfortunately did just that. That's when the imposters called back again and told her to go to Target. Then an employee at Target told her she had been scammed.
This is a scam. I said, don't tell me it's a scam. And she said, yes, yes. My regret is that I wasn't savvy enough at 7:45 in the morning to hang up on them.
To avoid a scam like this, it's important to watch what you post on social media. That way, these scammers, that's exactly how scammers knew to call Jerry Graham, and always be skeptical of strangers asking for money over the phone. New details coming in today revealing the Earth's north magnetic pole is heading for Siberia. New data showing the change taking place at around 34 miles per year. Now, researchers say the shift is taking place so fast it could become a problem for smartphone maps and navigation systems. Well, just today, the polar changes prompting the early release of a new model of the World Magnetic Model due to unplanned variations in the Earth's magnetic poles. Switching gears now, some schools are getting rid of the traditional snow day. Random Lake Schools in Wisconsin is piloting a trial program called Digital Snow Days. It has students logging on and teachers preparing lessons for outside of the classroom.
Some of our Phi Ed teachers are trying to come up with different ways to do some physical activity, if it be shoveling, playing in the snow.
Thinking about it, it's nice, like knowing we won't have to come back in summer, but at the same time, we're losing our day off that we would have, but it's fine.
For the students, they take pictures of the activities and turn it in online. We're watching out for your safety in Colorado after a trail runner was attacked by a mountain lion in Fort Collins. He killed the lion in self-defense. Parks and Wildlife says the man did exactly what he should have done. He strangled the lion, suffocating it. But they want Coloradans to be more prepared around this predator.
Mountain lions are ambush predators, meaning they kind of set up an ambush. So they find a good place to hide and surprise their prey by usually jumping on their back.
Officials say that's what happened to this runner who was sent to the hospital with injuries. The name of the runner who was attacked has not yet been released. Updates on the search for Kelsey Barrett. Crews are preparing to search for her remains. The search will begin in the morning at the Midway landfill between Colorado Springs and Pueblo. Investigators have reason to believe Frazee burned Barrett's body and may have thrown remains and other evidence in the trash. Well, switching gears now, do you like margaritas? If so, we have a great reason for you to go get one yourself. We'll have more details coming up right after the break. Welcome back. Trending tonight, look out quarterbacks. A gang of adorable puppy football players are ready to rough the passer. These canine competitors hit the field for a tailgating event ahead of the Puppy Bowl. The defensive dogs wowed the crowd, barking and biting their way to the end zone. When it was all said and done, the pups were pooped and some even took a nap on the sidelines. The Puppy Bowl raised awareness and funds for furry friends looking for homes. Well, next week is Super Bowl, and nothing says Super Bowl Sunday like food. The Today Show releasing the 50 best Super Bowl foods and appetizers for this year's game, and topping the list, baked and fried buffalo wings. Following classic chicken plate, guacamole, chili, pigs in a blanket, and rounding out the top 5, beer cocktails. Some interesting entries or entrees and topping the list include Jell-O shots, avocado fries, and get this, tater tot nachos. Happening now, the city of Atlanta is getting ready for Super Bowl 53. Sunday's game seeing Tom Brady and the Patriots take on the Los Angeles Rams as Brady seeks to win his historic 6th Super Bowl championship. Ahead of the big game, Atlanta's airport, the nation's busiest, is adding extra staff in preparations for what could be record-breaking crowds passing through its security checkpoints. And Colorado Springs-based NORAD and Northern Command are monitoring a wide-ranging security network on both the ground and up in the air. And if you are looking to get tipsy this evening, Haagen-Dazs might have something for you. The ice cream company rolling out 7 flavors of alcohol-infused ice cream treats. New flavors include rum tres leches and a non-dairy amaretto black cherry almond toffee. Both should hit the stores in May. Well, don't want ice cream? Well, you can have margaritas instead. Tomorrow is National Margarita Day. And to celebrate, Chili's has select margaritas on sale for $5. And at On the Border, you could get a premium margarita for just $4. At Salsa Brava, they have 12-ounce margaritas for $2.50. And when it comes to international sales across the world, the margarita, get this, is among the world's top 10 best-selling cocktails. Well, if you're hungry, want a late-night snack, well, you can try the meatloaf donut out of Germany. The treat going viral on social media, being made with an unholy donut and a Bavarian-style meat that is more like bologna. Bakers say at first customers were initially skeptical, as you might imagine, but now he sells between 70 and 80 a day. Well, we've all heard of porch pirates, but what about pooch pirates? A Kentucky woman posting video of her Amazon packages being stolen from her front porch shortly after they were delivered. The culprits, 2 pups who can be seen fighting over the goods before eventually running away on camera. Well, today we found an online petition going around with an interesting solution to solving the country's debt, selling Montana to Canada for $1 trillion. The man behind the petition says it is to help eliminate some of the country's $22 trillion debt. The petition says we have too much debt, and essentially Montana is useless. More than 8,000 people have already signed the petition. How do you feel about this? Join the conversation on Twitter and be sure to tweet us your thoughts. New video tonight showing a massive ice glacier collapse in New Zealand. This event happening once to twice every 2 years. Now it is caused by ice above the water melting, putting pressure on the ice that's still in the water underneath. Still to come, an update on the Jussie Smollett case. Did he do the crime and will he get the time? We'll be right back. Welcome back. Winter weather is hitting parts of the country especially hard. Parts of the Midwest are covered in snow, but it's what's coming behind it that is causing the most concern. Some areas could feel wind chills as low as 60 below zero as freezing air from the North Pole moves in. Dan Scheneman reports.
Arctic cold moving into the United States, bringing with it temperatures not seen in at least 2 decades. In Chicago, heavy snow this morning gave residents a taste of what's to come.
Everybody here in Chicago just commutes, and in the wintertime it can be pretty tricky, and we all know that struggle.
Tricky and dangerous. The expected cold temperatures are staggering. By midweek, the high in Chicago is forecast to be well below zero, with wind chills as low as 55 below across much of the region.
While the snow may be ending, the cold is just starting.
So cold, Lake Michigan is already frozen over along the shoreline, but the worst is yet to come. Doctors are warning people to be careful.
I've seen people get frostbite within 10 minutes of being outside on their ears, just walking, from one place to the next.
The Arctic blast caused by an extremely cold air mass pushing down from the North Pole. The icing conditions already making road travel treacherous, while the Deep South is also bracing for extreme weather. A snowstorm will impact much of the region Tuesday as Atlanta prepares for Super Bowl 53. Dan Scheneman, NBC News.
And covering Colorado scenes like this across Summit County for much of the day. This as skiers and residents there dealt with power outages for much of the day yesterday. A large gas line leak cutting power to more than 18,000 XL Energy customers in Breck, Dillon, and Keystone. Yesterday's power outage also closed Breckenridge and Keystone ski resorts for part of the day. Trending tonight, there is more fallout from the alleged allegations involving Empire star Jussie Smollett. The creators of his Fox drama announcing today his character is being written out of the final episodes of the series on the heels of Chicago police filing felony charges against Smollett in relation to the alleged hate crime. The 2 men initially charged in the crime now saying they were paid for their part in the incident. Trouble for the city of Chicago again. Authorities in Chicago charging I Believe I Can Fly singer R. Kelly with 10 counts of aggravated sexual abuse. The charges coming from incidents between 1998 and 2010 and includes 4 different victims, 3 minors between the ages of 13 and 16. If convicted, the singer could face between 3 and 7 years behind bars. Well, have you ever imagined the next time you hopped on the bus, you realize, well, there's no driver? That's exactly the case in Sacramento after the world's first partially 3D printed electric self-driving shuttle recently debuted in the California capital. The bus fleet now taking trips around the Sac State campus and goes by the name Ollie. Ollie tops speeds at 35 miles per hour, which isn't very fast if you need to get around Sacramento. Trending tonight, One Smart Cookie is whipping up a winning recipe for Girl Scout cookie sales. In Highlands Ranch, it rhymes with Samoa. She's plastering pictures of a shirtless Aquaman Jason Momoa on boxes of the Samoas. And she says they are selling like hotcakes.
The moms are getting really excited and they're saying that they need them. The girls will want to buy some because he's on the front. and the boys will also want to buy some because he might be like their favorite character.
No word from Momoa on how he feels about the sales pitch, but look at her. I mean, he should be perfectly fine with it. Well, just in time for the weekend, an answer to the age-old question, does drinking beer before or after wine make you feel fine? Scientists now saying it doesn't really matter. 90 volunteers being assigned to drink large amounts of alcohol in various orders, participants having similar hangover scores regardless of what they drank first or last. Well, the Nuggets are up next. Did they win their 3 games that they played in one day? We'll have that answer up next in sports.
And now, News 5 Sports.
Well, the women's U.S. hockey team playing Canada yesterday, and unfortunately, they didn't leave without the win. They played hard, scoring a few goals in the third period. They fake out the goalie and scored on getting 1 point behind Canada, but Canada answers back with their own goal right there late in the third. Maybe the next time U.S. will win against Canada. All right, breaking news. Lindsey Vonn, the gold medal skier, crashed in the Super G during the World Championships in Sweden earlier today. Vonn taking the spill after straddling a gate mid-air and ending up in the safety nets. The crash comes after the part-time Vail resident recently announced that she would retire after racing the Super G and downhill at this year's World Championships. After the crash, the 34-year-old was tended to by medical personnel and skied to the bottom of the hill on her own. Well, the Denver Nuggets had a crazy schedule. Try this, to complete 3 games in one day. Yeah, they are tired. Here's a look at the highlights. Nuggets are on a winning streak, and they keep it going with a win against the Clippers. In the fourth quarter, Paul Millsap drives into the paint but misses the basket. Luckily, Nikola Jokic was waiting in the paint, tips it back in. Now later in the fourth quarter, Jokic has the ball in the paint. He gets the double team. Overall, it's the first game the Nuggets played great defense in the fourth quarter as the other team, the Clippers, tried, but the Nuggets defense caused a lot of turnovers. Nuggets looking up this season. They're playing good as a team, and they occupy the 4th spot in the playoffs. All right. Second game of the day against the Thunder in the Pepsi Center was a close game in the first half. 42-48 Nuggets. Thunder were strong in the paint earlier in the game as Paul George finishes with the layup, but Will Barton would answer back with the quick layup of his own right here. Nice move to beat Steven Adams. Before halftime, Jokic's vision on the court with the ball as Jamal Murray sets him a screen. He rolls perfectly off it, drives open to the basket, and finishes with the dunk. The Thunder answer back, though. Paul George come back down the other way as you see another look at the Murray dunk right there. Here's Paul George, drives to the basket, scoring a dunk on top of a few Nuggets players. Yeah, nice ups. Top highlight of the game, though, is where Jamal Murray was able to cross up some ankles on the court and score off the fading jump shot. Nuggets win their second game of the day. All right, well, the last and final game of the day, the Nuggets were able to hold a lead for most of the game against the Pelicans. In the first quarter, they were able to put up many shots, including threes, and driving toward the basket. During most of the game, Nuggets were not able to cover the paint well as the Pelicans dominated inside many times. The Nuggets were persistent, though, scoring alley-oops early in the second quarter. Nuggets would lose the lead in the end of the third quarter. You could tell they were tired by playing those 2 games earlier in the day. They were not getting back on defense and fouling a lot toward the end of the game. Pelicans would win this one 120-112. All right, well, the biggest rivalry on the ice in Colorado, and it's the biggest hockey game this year. Colorado College versus Denver University DU. CC wasn't able to score all game long despite all the power plays. DU's strong defense was enough to hold Colorado College for them not to score all game. DU left with a win. 1-0 rematch set in the future for both of these teams. All right, state wrestling in Colorado slowly wrapping up this year. The matchup today between the 2 schools going against each other is Sheridan and the Academy. For the 3A title, the Academy walks away with the win, taking their school 1 step closer to the state championship. It would be their first in school history. That's going to do it for sports.
And that's going to do it for us for News 5 at 10. Thanks so much for watching. And remember, we break news at KOAA.com. Have a good evening.